This album just sounds so good. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Ohms by Deftones. Now, I've been doing a Deftones reaction series here on my channel for a while now. I started way back with their album White Pony, and I've worked my way through all the other 8 Deftones studio albums and done reaction videos to them, and we just have Ohms left. However, I actually have listened to Ohms already before I started my YouTube channel, but I still wanted to sit down and kind of do like a listening through video to Ohms because it's been like a year since I've heard this album, and I honestly forget how all of the tracks go except for Genesis. So I kind of just wanted to sit down, re-listen to Ohms since it's been a year since I've heard it, and just kind of go over like what I think of it, my thoughts and opinions on it. And I thought it would be kind of an entertaining video for you all to watch since so many of you are also fans of Deftones. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on into listening to Ohms by Deftones. So track 1, we have Genesis. I do love the start of this song. It's so good. Definitely some major Koino Yokon sounding influences on this one. Yeah, I've got goosebumps. I just love this song. And then the distorted vocals. I really like how on Genesis, it has like that futuristic streamlined sound that they really embraced on Koino Yokon, but there's elements of this song that really remind me of White Pony too. Just kind of a slightly, almost more industrial sound at times. Yeah, there's some slight electronic stuff too going on behind the instrumentals. And then they've got this heaviness coming back in too. That was track 1 off of Ohms, Genesis, and I remember why I picked that as one of my favorite songs of 2020. That track is absolutely incredible, and I love how it's really atmospheric, but yet they infuse a lot of heaviness and more of that metal sound on it. The instrumentals go so hard at certain points, and yet it's a really light, airy sounding song as well. So yeah, let's get on into the rest of this album. Track 2, we have Ceremony. This does sound vaguely familiar. Yeah, I think I do remember this song. There really is such a smooth sound to Ohms. Like this album, they kind of continue with the whole Koino Yokon sound with how smooth and streamlined they make it. Again, they're using that distortion on the vocals here. Just kind of gives it a real futuristic sound. And they're quieting it down here. We're still getting some Chino screams. They might not be as intense, but they're still there. Track 2, Ceremony. I do vaguely remember that one. That one's definitely a little bit less intense than Genesis, but they're still just fusing this amazing kind of futuristic sound that, like I said, is very reminiscent of Koino Yokon, but they're bringing a little bit of heaviness to it and kind of a slightly more, I don't know if industrial is the right word, just that echoiness that I mentioned they really embraced on White Pony, their 3rd studio album. They're kind of fusing those two sounds I'm picking up on at least the first 2 tracks on Ohms. Alright, so moving on, we have track 3, Urantia. I really liked the heavy start to that one, and then the vocals came in and they surprised me. They're actually quite melodic. The instrumentals on this one are so good. I do actually really like the more melodic vocals paired with the heavier instrumentals. Yeah, I don't remember this track at all from listening to Ohms a year ago. Those distorted talking voices are interesting. Track 3, Urantia. That one was actually pretty awesome. I'm surprised I don't remember that track because it just brought it with the instrumentals. And it's really, really interesting listening to Ohms now after hearing the rest of Deftones studio albums. I'm picking up on a lot of similarities to White Pony, actually, which is interesting. That was the first album of Deftones that I reacted to, but I'm picking up on a lot of similarities there and with Koino Yokon and with Diamond Eyes kind of too. It's in a similar vein with the heavier instrumentals, but then the really melodic vocals. And I'm going to move on to track 4 called Error.
Tell me something.
This one's kind of reminded me of the last track. You got the heavier instrumentals, but then the vocals are staying pretty light and melodic. Yeah, this is another one I don't remember. There's such a great, big, immense sound to this album. It just sounds like they're playing in this huge, empty stadium, and the sound is just like getting projected out for miles. I've got to say the production on this album is very impressive. It just sounds so good. Track 4, Error. That one just had killer instrumentals yet again. That one was fantastic sonically. I'm not sold on some of the vocals on this album. They're just staying more melodic, which I do enjoy, but I kind of want like a little bit more from Chino's vocals just at certain points. Like the first track, Genesis, he goes a little bit harder. And the last two tracks, Urantia and Error, I love the instrumentals and I almost want a little bit more intensity from the vocals too. Up next is track 5, The Spell of Mathematics. Yeah, I remember this one right off the bat. See what I was just saying about those last two tracks? This track, The Spell of Mathematics, they bring that intensity back to the vocals, which I really enjoy. I actually really like all of the distortion on the vocals that they've done on this album. It kind of gives it almost this science fiction, futuristic sound, which I actually really enjoy. I love how this track too just gradually kind of builds up into that chorus. There's a lot of layers going on. Again, how they're fusing intensity with melodic moments so well. Like there's something so relaxing about this track. Track 5, The Spell of Mathematics. I do remember that track, and I remember really, really loving it when I first heard this album. It was definitely one of the standout songs on Ohms. That one, again, brought a little bit more intensity in the vocal department, and then they had the heavy instrumentation, but then they infused it with really restrained, borderline like relaxing moments too, which almost puts you in a sort of trance, like especially toward the end of that track. I really enjoyed it. Up next we have track 6 called Pompeji, I think is how you say it.
Deep in the bottomless depths of the ocean. Jesus Christ.
Was that like seagulls or something? That's what it sounded like. Yeah, there's some really interesting background effects going on this track. This track really reminds me of Koino Yokon. Maybe something along the lines of Poltergeist. Yeah, there is a very atmospheric sound to Ohms overall. Yeah, now this is like some M83 sounding stuff. Track 6, Pompeji. I actually really liked the more ambient, atmospheric nature of that track. It was very relaxing at times, especially toward the end there. They're definitely fusing a lot of electronic elements on this album. As heavy as the instrumentals go sometimes, they're still just infusing that really futuristic sound on here, which is cool. I like it. And like I said, it makes it more reminiscent of Koino Yokon. Up next is track 7 called This Link is Dead. Alright, so it started off where Pompeji left off, with kind of a very atmospheric opening. Yeah, I remember this track too. This one's pretty awesome. There's such an awesome intensity to this song that I really like. See, this track to me is kind of reminiscent of White Pony a little bit. I don't know, it just has that energy to it. I do absolutely love this track. Track 7, This Link is Dead. I do remember that song from when I first listened to Ohms. I don't remember enjoying it quite that much though. It just brought the intensity. There was kind of like this desperation quality, like as the track built up and up and up. And it was almost like the sound of like reaching for something or trying to hold on to something. I just absolutely loved that one. I pretty much liked everything about that track. The vocals, the again fusion of kind of the electronic futuristic stuff with the distorted vocals, but then they just brought it with the instrumentals. And moving on to track 8, we have Radiant City. They are totally bringing it on the instrumentals with this album. It's got such a great sound to it. Yeah, this is another track I don't remember at all, but I really like the intensity that it's bringing. That guitar is so good. Track 8, Radiant City. That one was pretty awesome. I'm surprised I don't remember that track because that one just brought a little more intensity, which is generally the sound that I really like. Overall, Ohms, comparing listening to it now versus when I listened to it a year ago, I think I'm enjoying it way more now because I've heard the rest of Deftones stuff and I can kind of just hear all the similarities but also hear some differences that they're doing. I think I definitely have a greater appreciation for it after hearing the rest of Deftones' discography. Alright, up next is track 9 called Headless. Again, we have another very atmospheric sounding one here at the start. I do really like how they're incorporating that atmospheric stuff, like borderline M83 kind of shoegaze style with such heavy, dense sounding instrumentation. It's just a great fusion, and Deftones always pulls it off so well. Yeah, there's kind of a dark tone to the verses on this track, but then the chorus comes in and it kind of opens up the sound a little bit. It's almost like a ray of sunlight or something between the darker, cloudy sounding verses. Again, with just how smooth this track is, this whole album kind of has had that quality. It reminds me definitely of Diamond Eyes in that regard, and Korno both kind of had that really smooth, streamlined sound. Track 9, Headless. I really liked how that one started off so atmospheric sounding and relaxing and, like I said, kind of shoegaze sounding. And then they just brought such heavy instrumentation to it. And like I said earlier on in this reaction video, the production on this album is crazy good. I don't know who produced it, but whoever it is just did a fantastic job because this album just sounds so good. And moving on to the last track on this album, we have track 10, the title track, Ohms. Yeah, that beginning sounds very familiar. I love the guitar on this track. It just kind of has this distorted, fuzzy sound to it. Again, there's interestingly something very relaxing about this song. Again, the instrumentals are so good on this album. I can't get over it. Every track, they've been awesome. Track 10, Ohms, the closing track on the album Ohms. That one was great. I really liked the just overall sound of it. It kind of had like this slightly more hopeful sound to it almost. And I really loved the instrumentals on that one. The guitar especially was such a standout, just really catchy. I liked the tone of it too, kind of that slightly distorted, like electric sounding quality. Sonically, just fantastic, and I think it's a great end to this album. Alright, so that is going to do it for my reaction to Ohms, the 9th studio album from the band Deftones. This album, like I said, I already heard it before I started my YouTube channel, so this isn't technically a reaction to it, but I really wanted to round out my Deftones reaction series and do a video dedicated to Ohms because I do think this album is really fantastic, and it just really highlights the cool evolution that Deftones has taken all the way from the likes of Adrenaline through their entire discography. It's really cool comparing all of their other 8 albums to Ohms and hearing the different influences that each album has had on Ohms. I think my favorite tracks from when I first listened to Ohms are still my favorites, and those would be The Spell of Mathematics, This Link is Dead, and Genesis. Those are my top 3 favorites. But overall, I think Ohms is a fantastic album. I loved listening to it. I do plan on doing a Deftones album ranking in the near future, so definitely stay tuned for that video. And let me know down in the comments what you think of Ohms, what your favorite tracks from it are. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.